On December the 10th, 1948, the General Assembly of the United Nations adopted and proclaimed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Following this historic act, the Assembly called upon all member countries to publicize the text of the Declaration and to cause it to be disseminated, displayed, read, and expounded, principally in schools and other educational institutions, without distinction based upon the political status of countries or territories. Preamble. Whereas recognition of the inherent dignity and the equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family are the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world. Whereas disregard and contempt for human rights have resulted in barbarous acts which have outraged the conscience of humankind. And the advent of a world in which all human beings shall enjoy freedom of speech and belief, and freedom from fear and want, has been proclaimed as the highest aspiration of the common people. Whereas it is essential, if people are not to be compelled to have recourse as a last resort against tyranny and oppression, that the rule of law should protect human rights. Whereas it is essential to promote the development of good relations among nations. Whereas the peoples of the United Nations have, in the Charter, reaffirmed their faith in fundamental human rights, in the dignity and worth of the human person, and in the equal rights of women and men, and have determined to promote social progress and higher standards of life in larger freedom. Whereas member states have pledged themselves to achieve, in cooperation with the United Nations, promotion of universal respect for and observance of fundamental human rights and freedoms. Whereas a common understanding of these rights and freedoms is of the greatest importance to the full realization of this pledge. Now, therefore, the General Assembly proclaims this Universal Declaration of Human Rights as a common standard of achievement by all peoples and all nations, to the end that every individual and every organ of society, keeping this declaration constantly in mind, shall strive by teaching and education to promote respect for these rights and freedoms, and by progressive measures, national and international, to secure their universal and effective recognition and observance, both by the peoples of member states themselves and by the peoples of territories under their jurisdiction. Article 1. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should behave towards one another in a spirit of friendship. Article 2. Everyone is entitled to all of the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration, without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. Furthermore, no distinction shall be made on the basis of the political, jurisdictional, or international status of the country or origin to which a person belongs, whether it be independent, trust, non-self-governing, or under any other limitation of sovereignty. Article 3. Everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of person. Article 4. No one shall be held in slavery or servitude. Slavery and the slave trade shall be prohibited in all their forms. Article 5. No one shall be subjected to torture or to cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment. Article 6. Everyone has the right to recognition everywhere as a person before the law. Article 7. All are equal before the law and entitled without any discrimination to equal protection of the law. All are entitled to equal protection against any discrimination in violation of this declaration and against any incitement to such discrimination. Article 8. Everyone has the right to an effective remedy by the competent national tribunals for any acts violating the fundamental rights granted them by the Constitution or by law. Article 9. No one shall be subjected to arbitrary arrest, detention, or exile. Article 10. Everyone is entitled, in full equality, to a fair and public hearing by an independent and impartial tribunal in the determination of their rights and obligations and of any criminal charge against them. Article 11.1. Everyone charged with a penal offence has the right to be presumed innocent according to law at a public trial in which they have been given every guarantee necessary to their defence. Article 11.2. No one shall be held guilty of a penal offence on account of actions or omissions that did not constitute a penal offence at the time that they were committed, nor shall a heavier penalty be imposed than the one that was applicable at the time that the penal offence was committed. Article 12. No one shall be subjected to arbitrary interference with their privacy, family, home, or correspondence, nor to attacks upon their honor or reputation. Everyone is entitled to equal protection of the law against such interference and attacks. Article 13.1. Everyone has the right to freedom of movement and assembly within the borders of each state. Article 13.2. Everyone has the right to leave any country, including their own, and to return to their country. Article 14.1. Everyone has the right to seek and to enjoy in other countries asylum from persecution. Article 14.2. This right may not be invoked in the case of prosecutions arising genuinely from non-political crimes or from acts contrary to the purposes and principles of the United Nations. Article 15.2. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of their nationality, nor denied the right to change their nationality. Article 16.1. Everyone of full age, without any limitation of race, religion, or nationality, has the right to marry and to found a family. They have equal rights as to marriage, during marriage, and at its dissolution. Article 16.2. Marriage shall be entered into only with the free and full consent of the intending spouses. Article 16.3. The family is the natural and fundamental group unit of society and is entitled to protection by society and by the state. Article 17.1. Everyone has the right to own property, alone or in association with others. Article 17.2. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of their property. Article 18. Everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and belief. This right includes freedom to change their religion or belief, and in association with others or alone, and in private or public, to manifest their religion or belief in teaching, practice, worship, and observance. Article 19. Everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas regardless of frontiers and through any media. Article 20.1. Everyone has the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association. Article 20.2. No one shall be compelled to belong to an association. Article 21.1. Everyone has the right to take part in the government of their country, directly or through freely chosen representatives. Article 21.2. Everyone has the right of equal access to public service in their country. Article 21.3. The will of the people shall be the basis of the authority of government. This will shall be expressed in periodic and genuine elections, which shall be by equal and universal suffrage, and which shall be held by secret vote or by equivalent free voting procedures. Article 22. Everyone, as a member of society, has a right to social security and is entitled to the realization through national efforts and international cooperation, and in accordance with the organization and resources of each state, of the economic, social, and cultural rights indispensable to their dignity and to the free development of their personality. Article 23.1. Everyone has the right to work, to free choice of employment, to just and favorable working conditions, and to protection in the case of unemployment. Article 23.2. Everyone, without any discrimination, has the right to equal pay for equal work. Article 23.3. Everyone who works has the right to a just and favorable remuneration, allowing for themselves and their family an existence worthy of human dignity and supplemented, if necessary, by other social protections. Article 23.4. Everyone has the right to form and to join trade unions for the protection of their interests. Article 24. Everyone has the right to rest and leisure, including reasonable limitation of working hours and periodic holidays with pay. Article 25.1. Everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of themselves and their family, including food, clothing, housing, and medical care, and necessary social services, and the right to security in the case of unemployment, sickness, disability, widowhood, old age, or other lack of livelihood in circumstances beyond their control. Article 25.2. Motherhood and childhood are entitled to special care and assistance. All children, whether born in or out of wedlock, shall enjoy the same social protections. Article 26.1. Everyone has a right to education. Education shall be free, at least in its fundamental and elementary stages. Elementary education shall be compulsory. Technical and professional education shall be made generally available, and higher education will be equally accessible to all on the basis of merit. Article 26.2. Education shall be directed to the full development of the human personality and to strengthening recognition and respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. It shall promote understanding, tolerance, and friendship between all nations, racial and religious groups, and shall further the activities of the United Nations in the maintenance of peace. Article 26.3. Parents have a prior right to choose the kind of education that shall be given to their children. Article 27.1. Everyone has the right freely to participate in the cultural life of the community, to enjoy the arts, and to share in scientific advancement and its benefits. Article 27.2. Everyone has the right to the protection of the moral and material interests resulting from any scientific, literary, or artistic production of which they are the author. Article 28. Everyone is entitled to a social and international order in which all of the rights and freedoms set forth herein can be fully realized. Article 29.1. Everyone has duties to the community in which alone the true development of their personality is possible. Article 29.2. In the exercise of their rights and freedoms, everyone shall be subject only to such limitations as are determined by law for securing the due recognition of the rights and freedoms of others, and of meeting the just requirements of morality, public order, and the larger freedom in a democratic society. Article 29.3. These rights and freedoms shall in no case be exercised contrary to the principles and purposes of the United Nations. Article 30. Nothing in this declaration shall be interpreted as implying for any state, group, or person any right to engage in any activity or to perform any act aimed at the destruction of the rights and freedoms set forth herein.